Hello and welcome. I almost waited to record this one because I've been fighting off some allergies, and so I sound a little rough, and my eyes look all puffy like I've been crying. But I can't put this one off because there's too much to talk about. So today we have episode 15 of the Magnus Protocol. Well, run. The case number for this one is CAT-1RB-6451-2206-2023-2203224. And the classification is Hunt Aristocratic / Compulsion. Oh, I want to talk about it so bad, but we gotta get through the intro stuff first, because this is definitely a Hunt episode, right? I mean, it's even called out in the classification, Hunt. So this starts off with Sam getting some tickets for a production called The Pillow Man, which apparently is more than he thinks it is. Celia says that she wants to go if for no other reason than just to see the look on his face when he realizes what kind of show it is. So I expect that to come up again at some point. That's not the only thing that I expect to come up again in this series from this episode. Luke is in another band because Alice wants Sam and Celia to instead come check out her brother's other gig that he's doing with another band that he's a part of that's not Dredgerman. This one's Penny for the Well. Seems like he's in a bunch of bands, and he says at the end of the episode that things are going really well and they've got some big gigs planned. I'm really worried about Alice's brother. Of course, after this episode, I'm really worried about Alice as well. We'll get there. Celia reveals that, she can't go out that late because a sitter's not going to stay that late for Jack. And Alice kind of fumbles this interaction here of like, oh, for a dog? Come on. But, Alice just being Alice. I have definitely met people like that in real life. And so, ultimately, I still love Alice. We get a really interesting case here that has a lot of things I want to bring up from it, but it's not the only thing, right? So, this case is from a caterer that leaves a voicemail to the Sentinel tip-off hotline, which, first off, that's going to come up again at some point. Either Lena will get a case given to Gwen to deal with somebody at the Sentinel, or somebody's going to try and make sure that gets deleted, right? Because if the Sentinel runs the story, which they might just view it as crazy nonsense, but if the Sentinel runs the story, obviously more people know about something than they probably should. This is a really interesting case because when it first was getting set up and it was like, hey, in the gazebo where everybody could see them from above, I was like, oh, so they're gonna start hunting them. They're gonna fire down into the gazebo and let them run, and it's gonna be the most dangerous game, right? No, because instead, when Lady Mowbray shows up, I have so much to talk about Lady Mowbray. A matriarch, as this caterer calls her. She instead gets them all primed to watch the slaughter as the unnamed caterer does the killing. Yes, I chose that word on purpose for slaughter. That wasn't an accident. My theory of they're fractured and this is like on the verge, though there can still be slaughter in the Hunt, absolutely. I'm not trying to say there can't. I'm trying to support my own theory some more. But the fact that she has him do it when she tells him hunt, just ooh, and he just turns on him. There's this episode's so well written. There's like a couple really great moments I want to call out here. First off, it seems like the caterer is compelled by her voice. Like he doesn't seem like he can turn her down. So that might be a, avatar power. We've seen that before with avatars, especially with avatars of the web, but they have a pressure they can exert. John was able to do it as well as an avatar of the eye, right? But also, she loads the gun the first time without even like looking down to do it. She's done it so many times. It's an antique elephant gun, which I presume is what she shoots the caterer with at the end of his session there. But also the little moments of like his dialogue about when you're staring down the barrel of a gun and the horizon sinks in until it's just the circle. And then later on when he's like, yeah, you know, this one specifically gave me trouble. I don't know why I have the transcript up. So for like a specific moment later, because I want to go over some dialogue. It's Boris. Boris is the one he says that caused him some trouble because Boris was a big guy, but Boris wasn't trained like he was, and you know, ultimately Boris hesitated, and that was the only moment he needed, that moment of hesitation, and just ugh. And then finally, the handshake, the packet of money, and the single phrase, "Run." They didn't want to hunt them. They wanted to hunt the survivor. They wanted to hunt the strongest. Specifically, if you'll remember earlier on in the statement, the caterer says they wanted to know who had made the kill. They wanted to eat something that they knew who had made the kill. And he says the party ate good that night. So they clearly cannibalized those people and devoured them, right? This all leads into one of the biggest jump scares in this series for me, which is Celia letting out the breath after hearing the end of the case, and Mowbray is right behind her. Also, the fact that Mowbray tells the guy, like, well run, which is the title of the episode, just, ugh. She was hunting him down that whole time. He could hear the dogs in the distance. Oh, it's so evocative and so terrifying, right? Just like a deep primal fear of this ancient figure, this being that is untouched by time, that is hunting you across the years even, and the dogs are slowly closing in on you. And as the transcript says, these are not fur baby dogs. These are the kind of dogs you think about when someone says release the hounds. So that's terrifying, right? But then the fact that Celia, who thought she was safe, who was just doing her job, lets out a breath and Mowbray's right there. They are not safe in that office. And even Celia's like, what are you doing here? Well, I was invited. And just the fact that Mowbray smells something different about Celia almost definitely in my mind confirms that this is our Celia from Magnus Archives. That she's sniffing out the fact that she's from a different dimension, you know? Just, whoa. And then Gwen leads her away, and as she's being led away, she makes a comment about how I'll catch you next time. Celia says, no, you won't. And it's not I'll see you, it's I'll catch you next time. Just, whoa. Also, like, she recognizes the Bouchard name, which is interesting. And, you know, she talks about, where are you from? Get my notes here, making sure I got the right place. The Cheshire Bouchards. But just really interesting that name. Then we get a nice little scene with Luke and Alice, right? As Luke's talking about his gigs, and I think Luke's probably going to die. But then we get, like, the big thing, and I have so many thoughts on this that I don't know how to structure them well. I'm going to do my best. Is this Alison Leshy? So, from episode 11, right? So, the reason I say that, I'll get back to it, I guess. But this woman has drowned. This woman has not just drowned. She has become enamored with the vast, right? And enamored's maybe not the right word, because she is seems like she's upset by it as she's shuffling around, dying and then getting up again. But she's drowning constantly. First off, I'm a really bad asthmatic. I don't like being on the ocean because if I fell in, I would probably die. Drowning is something that I don't like the idea of very much. Drowning constantly sounds agonizing. But also, this woman has a tape recorder. Why does she have a tape recorder? Why does she have a tape recorder? And the reason that I think this could be Allison Leshy from episode 11, right, is what we saw at the end of the case in episode 11 from Gordon was that Gordon sent his email to Allison. Allison tried to send an email back. This could obviously be somebody completely different, anybody else. But my gut says she looked into it, and this is what has become of her. And maybe this is what became of Gordon. I could be very wrong. That could just be a shot in the dark. But as soon as a woman that is constantly drowning was brought up, I was like, oh, this could be her. This could be her. I don't know. Again, I'm likely very wrong. I believe in episode 11, there was another tattoo artist trying to find the body. It could be that tattoo artist. This could be the body. But either way, horrifying. Just listening to. I'm going to read a couple. It's why I wanted to have the transcript up. I'll read a couple of these for you. I'm not going to do the crazy effect or anything because I don't think these are like spooky phrases. I think these are phrases that hurt my soul. But just, I can't. There's so much air, but none inside. As I go down again, the cold surrounds and drags me down. The blue, the black, the weight of all the sodden fates awaiting me below the line of sea and sky. Just, whoo, that's horrifying. And just like, I know I'm spent. There is no more within me save the salt-spun death that reaches down my throat. No, thank you. There is very little in this series that, like, that's not true, though. I was about to say there's very little that deeply unsettles me. There's very little so far in Magnus Protocol. Like, the snake hive affected me in ways I didn't expect, and I'm not a big fan of the way that Mr. Bonzo makes me feel. When Mr. Bonzo's here to play, Mr. Bonzo wants to stay. But, like, there was a lot of good stuff in Archives that unsettled me, right? That shook my brain and made me feel unsafe for a moment. This is one of those things that is so well conceived that I can't believe it hasn't been done before. And maybe it has and I just didn't know about it, but I watch a lot of horror. I read a lot of horror. I listen to a lot of horror. A perpetually drowning person is horrifying. And the way she talks about it, just as Alice tries to help her, you know? Just, oh. And Alice just desperately trying to keep a rhythm, trying to bring her back with chest compressions, given that old nursery rhyme, right? She picks up the tape recorder, and the person speaks again. And I know I keep looking this way. I'm looking at the transcript. But the person starts talking again and says, "Down among the dead and swollen flesh so pale, within this lightless place where eyes are open, cloudy white, and all the water pushes down upon a lifeless form that sinks and sinks down to the bottom that is not." Oh, that's the vast put into words in a way that I've never heard before. I mean, like, there was the episode of Archives with the person that went through the hole in the ship and it was just open sea forever, and that was horrifying. But this is so much worse to me. Just, oh. Anyway, Alice gets away. Clearly traumatized. Don't know how this is going to turn out, but I think this might turn Alice to asking more questions, or it could wind up that this person was sent to kill Alice. I'm worried by the fact that this person was just here with a tape recorder. That doesn't feel normal or natural. Maybe they're just roaming the streets with it, but I feel like something's chasing Alice. And I don't think this is what was in the archives. I don't. I think this is different. It could be what was in the archives, but I really feel like this is different. The only thing that makes me go, well, this might be what was in the archives is the tape recorder. Why does it have a tape recorder? I'm so enthralled. We are firmly back in to I have lots of things to talk about every episode, and I'm really excited by it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Maybe I got some of this super wrong and there's something you noticed that completely rewrites it. Please let me know. I love this series. So stoked to see where it goes. I'm hoping to be able to start listening to some of the other Rusty Quill shows because, you know, I got to get on that. I really like this one, and I want to hear more good stuff. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And until next time, I've been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that drowning has to offer.